Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility Conference of 2023. Our short talk is titled, Can Artificial Become Assistive? Navigating AI in Accessibility and Education. My name is Kate Sonka, and I'm the Executive Director at Teach Access. We're a nonprofit organization working to support educators to teach about accessibility to students, so that as they graduate, they're prepared to include accessibility from the beginning of any product or design phase. Presenting with me today is Bill Hart-Davidson, Associate Dean of Research and Graduate Education in the College of Arts and Letters at Michigan State University, Casey McCardle, Director of Experience Architecture Program in the College of Arts and Letters at Michigan State University, and Rolando Mendez-Fernandez, Director of Education for Teach Access. We'll begin by sharing how we've all come together around this topic and how we view the intersection of AI, both in accessibility and education. So I'll turn it over to Bill now.
Thanks, Kate. As educators, one of the things we must always be ready to do is to prepare our students to use new technologies, both while they are in school and in their lives beyond school and in the workforce. New technologies always introduce new challenges to teaching and learning, as we have seen in the recent past with cell phones, or before that with the internet, and before that with computers in the classroom. Teach Access and MSU as organizations both have an interest in helping students become critical users of new technologies, making sure we are creating with an accessible first mindset. We were challenged this year because ChatGPT and other generative AI programs emerged suddenly. And within an academic year, we had technologies in wide use that few, if any, institutions had a chance to review and approve using our standards and guidelines for accessibility, safety, and security. This year, we're all sprinting to set new guidelines as the academic year begins. I will hand things off to Casey now to talk about why it's important for disability advocates and professionals to be involved when new technologies arrive on our campuses and in our workspaces.
Thanks, Bill. We want to focus on why higher education and disability advocates must be involved. Institutions can remove barriers and do more than just provide accommodations for students. They can work with generative AI to be proactive about removing such barriers. In doing so, institutions can become a supportive space for AI accessibility research, connect with industry, and amplify conversations about equity. Faculties can then become facilitators of change, facilitators of conversations for students to take with them after they graduate. Faculty can create courses on accessibility and design studies, like a one-credit accessibility course for an entire campus. In doing this, working with generative AI can allow faculty to design, deploy, and model accessible classes or systems for students to take with them and deploy in their own spaces after they graduate. Faculty can also support events that generate discussions around AI, accessibility, and provide a space for students to voice their concerns. Students then become the drivers of change, as they are the primary users of educational spaces. They advocate for themselves and for one another. Students create organizations of support, and they are researching the landscape they will inhabit once they graduate. A landscape where AI can help when it comes to assessing, building, testing, and deploying accessible spaces and systems. I'll turn it over to Kate now.
Thanks, Casey. So a group that we absolutely must include in anything we're doing are people with disabilities. Not only do people with disabilities exist in our institutions, among our faculty, and within our students, but we know that more than 1 billion people with disabilities exist across the world. But this is a world not built for them or generally for them, with them in mind. Existing in this world as a person with a disability requires constant ingenuity and creativity. They're often required to develop sophisticated capabilities for innovation in order to participate in spaces and places designed for non-disabled people. Many of us may be familiar with common assistive technologies like voice to text, closed or open captions, and curb cuts. These were, and in some ways still are, examples of innovations that were created so that people with disabilities were able to engage with various digital technologies and physical built environments that had already been created through a non-disabled lens. If we take a moment now to ensure that we're genuinely and deeply including people with disabilities in current and future iterations of AI, not only would we make a more inclusive product, we would also find ourselves with a more innovative set of solutions. So what does all of this mean? I think we can certainly expect that in the near future, AI will become more embedded in our everyday lives. It will be a part of products whether we know or not. So I'll turn it over to Rolando now to help us consider what's ahead.
Thanks, Gabe. As we move forward, we need to keep various things in mind. First, the ultimate goal for AI should be access to access. AI presents numerous opportunities for people with disabilities, especially as assistive technology. So it is very important to include their voices as we keep exploring and developing. As we scale AI, we should procure not to add extra barriers or costs to access and equity. Also, we should focus on the public good. Educational institutions play and will play a critical role in shaping current and future workforces driven by AI. Second, we need to keep in mind AI's limitations and realities. We are still exploring AI's capabilities and possibilities. As we explore them, how can we help students navigate through them? How can we help them define future iterations and applications? We must always keep in mind that AI may include incorrect, biased, and/or harmful information. How can we help our students develop a critical approach to its use? Laying the path forward requires continuous collaboration, adaptation, learning, and unlearning. Finally, we must reframe the discourse around AI. Let's focus on the possibilities instead of the threats. For example, in academia, we could shift the conversation to how we can improve learning and engage learners using AI. Let's think of AI as assistive technology, exploring how it will improve professions. And finally, let's make accessibility a default as we keep exploring and developing AI.
We want to thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you've learned something or you have a new way to think about AI and what needs to happen moving forward. And we also want to give an additional thank you to our team member, Caroline White, who is an education and learning manager at the Michigan State University Museum. Again, thank you all for joining us today. If you'd like to connect with us here at Teach Access, you can visit our website at teachaccess.org. You can send an email to info@teachaccess.org, or find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks, everybody.